Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Jurassic World Rebirth as I wear my Jurassic Park t-shirt, which is still the elite movie, never will be beaten. Actually kind of funny because my very first real movie review when I started doing really doing movie reviews on my channel was for Jurassic World Dominion, which is funny because I think at the time I gave it 7 out of 10, and in thinking about it I was like, no, that movie was garbage, 4 out of 10. But anyway, let's talk about Jurassic World Rebirth, which was definitely better than the last two, than Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. I still like the original Jurassic World better than Rebirth, but overall, we're making progress in the sense of Jurassic movies because, like I said, Fallen Kingdom, Dominion were horrible. I hated them, but this one was actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed this. So this movie has a whole new cast of characters. There is not a single character in this film that was in any of the previous movies, which I liked. I did like that. I enjoyed this new story, everything going on. The idea behind this one is it's been, I think it said 32 years since the event of Fallen Kingdom, in the sense that it's been 32 years, I think 32 years, since dinosaurs were re-released back into our world, and they all are dying because everything is obviously different. The air, plants, everything is different than when dinosaurs were alive 65 million years ago. So they're all dying, but a lot of dinosaurs have kind of congregated to islands near the equator, and they're thriving there, but there's not very many dinosaurs left anywhere else. And if there are, they're sick and they're not doing well. But obviously these islands that dinosaurs now live on are prohibited to go to by the government. However, they're prohibited to go to, but there's not much in terms of government preventing anyone from going there because it's very dangerous to go there. But so not a lot of people even want to go there. This pharmaceutical company wants to go there to get the blood from 3 specific dinosaurs in order to then create some sort of drug that can help prevent heart disease and also give humans more life, more longevity, that kind of fun stuff. So of course there's an evil corporation, as there always is in these films, and that's kind of the idea behind this. So they recruit Scarlett Johansson's character. She's kind of like a mercenary where she goes into places she's not supposed to be to get things out that are not supposed to be taken out. So her and her team are hired, and then Jonathan Bailey is not necessarily a paleontologist, but he studies dinosaurs. He loves dinosaurs, and he's never actually had the chance to see a real dinosaur. So he comes along to kind of as just the nerd who knows everything about dinosaurs. And from there, chaos ensues. It's crazy. I actually really enjoyed it. My main complaint about this movie is that we are very briefly introduced to the idea that on this specific island that they go to, there were Jurassic World biologists and engineers from InGen who are there, and they're mutating dinosaurs and making big mutant dinosaurs. This was the very first clip we see the film where they are making this massive dinosaur. This is the dinosaur that I referenced in my trailer reaction that I said looks like a rancor, and in seeing the movie he very much looks like a rancor, or she, because it's dinosaurs and they always make them female because girls rule. Anyway, it looks like a rancor, and that's all I have to say about that. But it was very briefly touched on there, oh yeah, there's mutant dinosaurs on this island, moving on. It was so barely discussed, to the point where if they do continue on with any more Jurassic Land/World films, I really hope that we actually get more information about this mutating island or not mutating island, but island where they do these mutations and stuff, because it was so barely touched on. Yes, we did see some of these mutant dinosaurs near the end of the film, but for the most part it was oh yes, this is that island where they mutated all the dinosaurs. all right, let's get going. Like, it was so barely touched on. So I wasn't a fan of that. I obviously very much wanted to know more about that. With that being said, I don't really feel like we need mutant dinosaurs. I am okay with just regular old dinosaurs. Like, don't get me wrong, the Indominus Rex in Jurassic World was a lot of fun. The Endoraptor in Fallen Kingdom was really cool. But to be honest, like, as I said, Jurassic Park is the elite of the films, and there's no mutating dinosaurs in that movie. There's a whole scene near the end of the movie where characters are trapped in a abandoned kind of gas station, and there's these mutant raptor slash pteranodon creatures chasing after them. And do they look really freaky? Sure. But at the end of the day, if it had just been plain old raptors in this convenience store gas station chasing after these people, I would have been a-okay with that. Was the Rancor really, really cool? Yes. But if that had been a T-Rex or a Spinosaurus or something like that, or introduce us to another massive carnivore dinosaur that maybe we haven't seen in any of these movies, because I'm sure they're out there. I'm not a dinosaur nerd. I don't know all of the names of all of the dinosaurs, but I'm sure there's something bigger than just T-Rex or Spinosaurus that they could have introduced in this movie that could have been the main, like, antagonist dinosaur of the movie, like the climactic, ginormous dinosaur. I'm sure they could have found another dinosaur to use rather than doing these mutated dinosaurs. Was it cool? Yes, but at the same time, I don't care. I just want dinosaurs. And this Rancor was not a real dinosaur as far as I'm aware. And if it wasn't a real dinosaur, then what was the point of the mutating dinosaurs to begin with? So obviously it had to be a mutated dinosaur. I think I have 2 more small complaints to make about this movie, and then I do have some positive things to say. Other complaint I have, as I said, like these like raptor slash pteranodon dinosaurs, I was saying they could have just been raptors. There was one single scene with velociraptors in this movie, and it was like not even a minute long. I was so upset with the lack of velociraptors in this movie. They are in it for, like I said, not even a minute, and they do basically nothing, and it was really disappointing. Velociraptors are one of the dinosaurs that we have all come to love, especially with Jurassic World and like everything that happened with like the raptors in the first Jurassic World, where they're like trained and all this stuff. Like, velociraptors are cool, and you gave them a scene where they almost attacked someone and then they were attacked by someone else and just made them look super wimpy. I was not a fan of that. Velociraptors are so cool, and that was a really sucky scene, and I can't believe that's the only screen time Velociraptors got. And then my last complaint I have to say is just, there was just a lack of some of the dinosaurs. T-Rex got an awesome scene. Like, the scene where they're trying to get away from the T-Rex was fantastic. That had me on the edge of my seat the whole entire time. There was actually a moment where I thought that they were actually going to like kill off the like main like child of the movie, because every Jurassic movie has to have a child. There was a moment I thought, are they going to take it to the next step and actually kill off the child? I was actually worried for a second there. And the scene with the T-Rex was amazing. And I was excited that we actually did get Spinosauruses back in this movie, because we haven't seen them since Jurassic Park 3. That's the only time we've seen Spinosaurus. And Spinosaurus is really darn cool. And we barely got them in this movie. I was like, come on, bring them back. Again, I don't care about mutated Rancor dinosaurs. That could have been a flock of Spinosauruses coming at them at the very end of the movie. Those are my complaints. Now, I do have some positive things to say about this movie. I did give it a 6 out of 10, which I don't think I've rated Fallen Kingdom on my movies, because let's be honest, I haven't watched that in a really long time, and I don't think I've watched it since I started doing all my ratings and stuff on Instagram. But I did, as I just mentioned, I did give Dominion a rating. I originally gave it a 7, which was like, what is going on in my... It's a 4. Dominion is a 4. And then Sam and I did just rewatch the first Jurassic World in preparation for this movie. So I did give the original Jurassic World 8 out of 10. So in comparison of the 4 Worlds movies, Jurassic World is my favorite, and then this one would definitely come next. Things I did like about Jurassic World Rebirth. I actually really liked all of the characters, even the like villain of this movie, the like corrupt big businessman who's just there for like the money, and he was a very believable villain. He's totally going to be eaten at the end because the bad guy always gets eaten. The bad corrupt guy always gets eaten by a dinosaur. So we knew it was coming. And then pretty much every other character I really enjoyed. There was the whole side plot with like the family who got capsized sailing through the waters, and they got capsized by the Spinosauruses and stuff, and then the team rescued them, and then they had their own whole little side plot. I was really nervous I was going to hate their side plot, and every time it like came back to them, I'd get really annoyed, but I actually enjoyed the 4 character. It was a father, his 2 daughters, and then one of the daughters' boyfriend. I actually really enjoyed them. I actually thought it was really fun, the relationship between the dad and the boyfriend. I thought it was really good. I thought the youngest daughter was going to be annoying because, let's be honest, normally a lot of the child characters in these films are very annoying. I'm looking at you, Maisie, from Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. She wasn't. I actually really liked her character, and she was actually quite believable for what happened to her. Like, I can see some people think she's being annoying because like there's a chunk of time where she just like refuses to talk to anybody, but it's like, dude, she was hanging off a boat and nearly got eaten by a mosasaurus and a spinosaurus several times before someone could pull her back on the boat. Yeah, I'm not surprised she's traumatized, and not surprised that the only thing that can bring her comfort is a baby Triceratops. So I did not find her annoying. I found her actually like really believable for like what was going on, and she was actually like very strong for what she had gone through. Both her and her older sister, like, I thought they were very strong, and they persevered through the worst conditions that they could possibly be in. And it's like I said, it was their family that had the scene with the T-Rex, and it was such an intense scene, like on the edge of your seat scene with the T-Rex. It was so well done. I really enjoyed that entire scene. It was really cool, really well done. I'm not the biggest fan of Scarlett Johansson. I think I mentioned that in many other videos, whether it was like talking about like Black Widow or my reactions to the trailers for these videos. I'm not a giant fan of Scarlett Johansson, but I actually think she did a really good job. I actually really enjoyed her character, and I know I mentioned that it seemed really stupid that they hired this woman who knew nothing about dinosaurs, but it does make a little bit more sense with what her whole plot and her whole story is. And then they do also bring Jonathan Bailey's character, and he's the dinosaur nerd, and the two of them kind of like are constantly talking with one another because he's like, I know everything about dinosaurs, and she's like, okay, cool, but when this is going on, are you actually going to be able to, you know, shoot them and stuff? And he's like, good point. So I did actually really enjoy her character. I thought she was really good. I think my favorite character, I think, was Jonathan Bailey, definitely, but after that it was Mahershala Ali. I loved his character. I thought he was really good. I loved that we got a bit of his backstory, like enough to understand his motives and the reason he did certain things, but like not too much that it was like, okay, that's enough, let's get back to the dinosaurs. So I guess I do have one more complaint about this movie, but it is a spoiler, so I guess I'm going to end my spoiler-free section here. If you haven't seen the movie and don't want to be spoiled, then thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week in my next video. Just to wrap it up for spoiler-free, if you like Jurassic Park, I would give this a try. I enjoyed it. I thought the dinosaurs were really, really cool. The mutant dinosaurs were kind of like meh, but it's still, like I said, the scene in the gas station was still really, really cool. It was really, really tense. I liked it. If they do more Jurassic Parks, Jurassic World, let's explore this whole mutant and mutated island a little bit more. 6 out of 10 for me. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I would definitely watch it again when it comes out on DVD. But yeah, now let's get into spoilers. So if you don't want to know any spoilers, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Okay, so my last little bit of complaint I have to make about this movie that is a spoiler is at the very end of the movie, they're escaping from the Rancor because the Rancor is, I think it's actually called a D-Rex, but I'm calling it a Rancor. They're escaping from the Rancor. They find a boat to get away, but Rancor is coming after them. So Mahershala Ali's character, I think his name is Duncan, he lights a flare and starts swimming in the opposite direction that the boat needs to go in. And so he's swimming away, and Scarlett Johansson, who is like his really good friend, is screaming. She's crying for him, like saying, come back, and he won't. He's swimming away from the Rancor. They're getting away, and she's just watching because she sees the light from the flare, and she's watching it, and then it goes out. So the audience can assume Duncan was eaten by Rancor, and they're getting away, and she's really upset, and she's saying, like, we need to go back for him, we need to go back, because also keep in mind, the whole movie, he was the one looking out for this family that just, like, stumbled upon this island by complete accident. Like, they wanted to continue on to go get, like, the blood from all these dinosaurs that they needed to get the blood from, but he was the one who was like, no, let's turn around, let's go get this family who we got a mayday from. So she's like, we need to go back for him, we need to go back for him. They're like, no, we can't, and they start getting away, but then they see a flare flying through the air, and so they realize he's alive. So they turn on the light, and they go after him, and he is alive, which is happy, which is great. But my question is, I don't understand how at this point the light did not attract the Rancor, because the reason he swam away with the flare originally was because the Rancor was attracted to the light from the flare. So that's why he went after him. So what happened in that moment that the Rancor then didn't attack him and eat him, and the Rancor just like went back into the forest without his meal? And then how come the new flare plus the light from the boat, when they were looking for Duncan, then did not attract the Rancor? That's my question. It makes no sense. But if you really think about the physics of Jurassic Park movies, you're going to be scratching your head all darn day, because it's physics that doesn't make sense and doesn't need to be explained because it's a movie. Yeah, that's my one complaint, is I just don't understand how that all happened. Like, how did he get away from the Rancor, and how did these new lights not attract the Rancor enough for them to find Duncan, get him on the boat, and then get away? And then also, when they were getting away, they just happened to not get attacked by the Mosasaurus and the Spinosauruses again. That's my one last little complaint. That's a spoiler, but anyway, overall, I did still like this movie. At the end of the day, it had some fantastic dinosaur scenes, and at the end of the day, that's all I go to see these movies for. Like, really, plot is down here when it comes to Jurassic Park movies, and it's just the dinosaurs I want to see that is all the way up here. That is going to be it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. I post new videos every single Friday, and I would love to have you here. Thank you for watching. I will talk to you later. Bye, everybody.